Good afternoon, my friends. This is the Grimflare. Hope you're all doing very well today, and we are, that's right, back to it. Back to Golgari, back to the rock, back to the stock rock, basically. Although, such as it is, I guess, the list does change pretty much video to video these days, or at least it has been since Horizons threw this format for a loop. So, we're in kind of a weird limbo right now. I'm recording this on Tuesday, where the London Mulligan is officially live and permanent as of about 2 hours ago, but the banned and restricted announcement hasn't happened yet. Won't happen for another 6 days, I believe. So it's kind of like, this exact 6-day window is the perfect time to play Leyline of the Void, because none of the graveyard decks have eaten a ban yet, and the London Mulligan is live. So it's the exact perfect time if you're kind of on the fence about Leyline to play it. But I don't own Leylines, and I'm just gonna play this league without them, even though if I owned them, now would be the perfect time to try them. I'm just gonna do it without them. I'm gonna wait for the price to come down and before I acquire them, if I even need to acquire them. Maybe Hogaak Vine will eat a ban, and we won't be interested so much in the Leylands anymore, and we'll stick with the Spellbomb and Surgical plan going forward. But, again, at this exact time, playing Leyline, I'm let's say, more interested in it than I've probably ever been, but we're still not doing it, so what are we doing? Well, just very briefly, we're back down to 23 lands. Blast Zone is the land that's made way. It has performed well, but it is a little worse when we have a couple of one-drop permanents in the deck. We're kind of spread across the 1-2-3 curve. Blast Zone is not as free as it would be in a no-Hex Drinker build. Also, I have had a couple mana issues lately. I think mathematically this mana base is pretty fine. That will still happen though, but I'm definitely not cutting I'm not cutting a colored source to keep Blast Zone in. So for now, we're back to no Blast Zone. We do have an Urborg, which is nice, consistency tool, increasing the color production of some of our other utility lands, as well as making peat lands produce painless black mana. We are also, a major change we're making today is playing the full 7. Not the full, I guess it would be the full 8 if we were playing the full 8, but we're going up, let's say, to 7 targeted discard spells, 4 Inquisition, 3 Thoughtseize. I believe that to be kind of borderline viable anyway, and now that we have the London Mulligan, it's definitely a great time to try it, because as people mulligan more aggressively, our 1-mana discard will shine. Other than that, we do have the 2 Hex Drinker. I'm continuing to test that. This card continues to radically split opinions in the community. My thoughts on it. I'm somewhat skeptical to begin with. I remain skeptical that a playset is correct, but I do see all of the value it can bring. And also, just like the floor as a Savannah Lions that's been color shifted, really not that bad simply because it's so important to establish early pressure in the current meta. We're back up to 3 Scavenging Ooze as well. I never really liked going down to 2, but I thought it was fine to go down to 2 when we had a couple of Spellbombs main, but now that we don't, we're just going back to a kind of a more traditional creature loadout here. 4 Bob, 3 Skoos, 4 Goyf. Still the 1 of Collective Brutality, still the 1-3 split here. And another major change is that we now have not only a Plague Engineer main, but 3 others in the side. That's right, the Plague Man. The Plague Man cometh. We've got all 4 of Mr. Genocide, and this card is awesome. I really hope it shines today, like it always does. This card has always been good ever since I've started playing it. We have had to cut down on a tracker to make way for this main deck, Plague Engineer. I do have the second one in the side. It competes to some degree with Plague Engineer because of converted mana cost, but they don't really fill a similar role in the deck, so if anything, it competes with Hex Drinker as far as the role is concerned. So we're just kind of hedged. We're trying a little bit of everything. 2 Hex Drinker main, none side. 1 Engineer main, 3 side. 1 Tracker main, 1 side. It's a little bit of a mess, but it also, I think, makes sense, kind of. Each decision makes sense in a vacuum. We'll see how it all comes together. Still got the trusty 1 of Maelstrom Pulse, and I did go back down to 1 Collector Oof, even though I absolutely love this card. I have just not been seeing the matchups for it. Tron has been on a downswing, granted with London Mulligan, maybe it's going to come back. And I have not seen any of the artifact-based decks almost at all since I've started playing the card. So I love the card, I'm high on it, but I just haven't really needed it, so I've gone back down to 1. It was either that or maybe cut a Fulminator Mage again with respect to the decline of Tron, but we still got the other big mana decks. We've still got Midrange and Control this shines in, and this is still probably better against Tron than Oof overall. So anyway, there you have it. Let's play a league. Let's play a league. Look at this. Someone else already has a trophy. It's only been up for about 2 hours after the update, as far as I know. So we can't be the first human beings to get a 5-0 after the permanent London Mulligan is instituted. That's a shame, but we'll still try our best for the I guess the consolation prize of just a 5-0. We'll take it, right? We'll take it. As we're finding our opponent, we have to thank our brand new Patreon supporter, Jonathan Westhoff. For those not on the BG Rock Facebook group, you might not know who John is, but for those who are, you probably recognize him. He brings the banter, let's just say. He's a very, very funny, very pleasant dude. So we were going back and forth. He was wondering why no one was saying good afternoon to him in a long time before I posted my Jund video. And during the banter back and forth, he just subscribed to Patreon, which was just made me laugh out loud, and I truly appreciate the support. So Jonathan's an Inquisitor, and so welcome aboard, John, and thank you to all Patreon supporters, as always. I really do have the very best group of supporters out there. There's no question in my mind. The opponent joins right at the last second. We're on the play. Let's do it. All right, nice low curve, proactive stuff to do, we'll keep. Kind of expecting a lot of really linear decks here. You know, we'll see how far these Tarmogoyfs get us, because we could be just against like a main deck Leyline of the Void or something. You really never know, but in a blind game 1, this is a certain keep. Alright, opponent likes their 7 as well. Thought sees you. And it's Hogaak Vine. Well, how exciting. How very exciting. So, they've got 3 enablers, and we have no other way to disrupt them as of right now. So let's take a minute and figure out exactly what to do. The opponent has the Altar of Dementia. It's a sack outlet. They've got the Carrion Feeder. It's a sack outlet. They've got the Crypt Breaker. It's a discard outlet. I haven't played against Crypt Breaker before. Is it possible that we're just supposed to take the Crypt Breaker so they can have no way to get this bridge from below in the yard? That leaves them also with no sack outlet for Carrion Feeder. They can sack the feeder itself to alter, but that's not really what they want to do. Okay, I'll take the Crypt Breaker. I don't know if that's correct. It's a pretty annoying to see a deck like that that's just so binary and so beyond what we have come to expect as the modern norm. It's just annoying to see them keep a 7 that has so many of their enablers. Like, we can make our best call, and hopefully that was that, but ultimately we're kind of at their mercy. So they do indeed play the feeder. We draw another Goyf, so our plan is officially to go just absolutely berserk with a trio of Tarmogoyfs and a Hex Drinker. We're in race mode, and we just hope they don't have too much else to do. Maybe if they are forced to cash in this Carrion Feeder with the Altar, they brick, and then we take it from there. Liliana the Veil, pretty poor draw. Alright, Carrion Feeder can't block, so we might as well just do all this main phase. I'm just going to play Goyfs out rather than trying to lean on the Hex Drinker level up. Alright, so, we're presenting a pretty reasonable clock, considering it's game one, we didn't know what we were against. We're not a deck that clocks all that well compared to a lot of Modern. Being on the play is helpful here. We still really just need them to brick, but... Okay, Blood Crypt, so that was a land they didn't have. Another Carrion Feeder, alright. So they can sack one to make the other one a 2/2. And then they're trading with our Hex Drinker. We could just make the Hex Drinker a 4/4. Oh, sorry, they can't block anyway. Okay. I'm not warmed up. Sorry about that. So the block is not a concern. Alright, so we've got 6 power on board with the Tarmogoyfs alone. We could just sink 3 mana into Hex Drinker, make it a 4/4. We're attacking for 10 this turn. That will probably allow us to put lethal together, even if they generate a chump blocker next turn with help from maybe Liliana of the Veil. So, while I can see an argument for doing other things here, I'm going to choose to execute this attack, and we'll see if it gets us there. Also, of course, lots of other draws that are better than Liliana of the Veil can also help get us there. We still have no instant in the yard. And, Liliana helping us get there against a chump blocker is obviously very risky. We were talking about taking up to pick our other Lily to grow the Planeswalker. That's just obviously pretty loose. Gravecrawler also can't block. Alright, so they're going to start sacking here. They're probably going to look for maybe Hogaak. Bloodghast also can't block, but they do return it. If they end up with just kind of a Hogaak on board, nothing else that can block, we should still be fine. But they could also just go completely off from here. They really could. Just have to hope they didn't draw the Hogaak, basically. Okay, or they don't blindly mill one, and there he is. Okay, so pretty likely that we are actually just dead here. Looks like they got it with the very last, at the very last chance, with that altar activation. And now they've got a bridge from below too, so, yep. So the thing that we could have done to prevent this is take away the altar, which of course was a concern, was an option there, with our Thoughtseize. Yeah, they have exactly enough to leave the bridge in. Alright, I should probably just scoop to this, right? But we could have taken away the altar. Problem with that is it leaves Cryptbreaker in their hand, and we still didn't have a great answer to Cryptbreaker alone, so that would go turn 1 Cryptbreaker, turn 2, make a zombie token, pitch bridge from below. Seems like a pretty bad thing to leave on the table. So my thinking was we'll just leave the altar and kind of force them to find something that synergizes incredibly well with it on their own, or with these mill 1s and mill 2s with the altar, rather than knowingly leave them with the Cryptbreaker, the ability to generate value, and to get the bridge from below in the yard. So, alright, I'm just scooping here because the league is young, and hopefully this deck will be banned soon. I just don't want to make you guys sit through it, that's all. Pretty sure we're just done for unless the opponent punts. So, we've got Spell Bombs, we've got Extractions, we've got Plague Engineers, which are pretty good. And then we've got the stuff like Oof and Fulminator, which I never quite managed to convince myself to bring in, because they just are pretty narrow. Not the most high on them, all things considered, but maybe it's time to start mixing things up. What if we cut all 4 Fatal Pushes? There are at least 3, all 4 Lilianas of the Veil. Can cut that Collective Brutality. I'm not particularly high on the card. Unearth is maybe a consideration to be cut. It is nice to buy back like a Scooz or something that gets murked, but... Well, I think these 8 cards are all pretty sweet to come in, and that's just 60. Now, Collector Oof shutting off Altar is definitely cute, but I just don't think I like it, especially in a Nile Spellbomb deck. So, do we want to give Fulminator Mage a shot? Is it better than Tireless Tracker? And is 7 discard spells too many? Or do we just... Maybe we just keep it as is. Let's just play a miserly one of Fulminator. We'll just play with no Fatal Push whatsoever. Seems fine. I still think Fulminator's a little bit loose. Like, I think a lot of damage has been done if you're activating Fulminator to get rid of the bridge. Like, definitely could be wrong about that. And, of course, their mana base is open to attack as well. But, alright, so this is a hand with... Inquisition into Scavenging Ooze is really, really tempting. And I don't have that much hard hate in here. I think I'm supposed to keep this on the play. I think on the draw I would see whether they mulligan or not and decide from there, but since we don't have info on their mulligan, I think this is a keep. Opponent keeping 7 as well, because they always seem to on a deck like this, don't they? But, alright, opponent's got Wear and Tear. Don't care about that one yet. Double Altar of Dementia, Gravecrawler, Bloodghast. Well, that's an extremely discard-resilient hand. I guess we're just taking 1 Altar here. That's an annoying one to see, though. Alrighty. Verdant Catacombs fetching. Is this just a hardcast Gravecrawler? It may well be. It is. Alright. Another Hexdrinker. Not what I'm in the market for at the moment. But, yeah, I mean, really, honestly, just want to keep seeing green lands and maybe an answer to the Altar. Also, of course, we really need to fade the opponent answering our ooze. We can unearth it, which is a really good failsafe, but it might just be... we might just be too far behind if they can kill it. Okay, Altar of Dementia. Getting in for 2. You got us. Okay, there's a green land. So... I think we want to toe the line here between racing them and holding up action. So, how greedy is it to play both Hexdrinkers out? Hexdrinker's pretty bad in multiples, especially against something that can just be an army of zombies, right? But, I guess, you know, they have 2 unknowns in hand. This is forcing them to find some blockers, I guess, if we just put these Hexdrinkers out and try to race. So, might be a little bit risky, but I'm going to do that, and we're just going to leave up 1 Ooze activation here. And now they're on a 2-turn clock. Even if we don't grow the Ooze, it's just hit you for 6, hit you for 6 again. And in theory, we can be really aggressive with using the Ooze from here on out. Again, maybe it was better to only play 1 Hexdrinker and activate the Ooze twice, but I'm choosing the path of proactivity, what can I say? I think I'm just taking the hit here. Carrion Feeder. Sure. Insolent Neonate, alright. So their hand is Bloodghast, Wear and Tear, 1 unknown. I think now is pretty safe to activate the Skoos. Obviously, if they have, like, exactly Bridge from Below to discard, they can do some other stuff and get a bunch of zombies while we're tapped out, but we've got to use our mana every turn. We're not at risk of getting, Bloodghast returned, obviously. They're just not doing anything else here, so we're going to eat away at the graveyard, just at the delve fuel for Hogaak, basically. Really hope they don't just decide... We hope they don't have a really good thing to discard to Neonate in hand right now. They also could decide to just get aggressive with the altar, but they don't. Alright, so... Neonate can block. Neonate can block, but we draw a Surgical Extraction. Well, that's a pretty good draw. So, why don't we attack all in and see what happens? One imagines if the opponent had a good kind of Neonate trick to play, that would have happened while we were tapped out, at least potentially, so this might just be trading off with a Hex Drinker. Ooh, nothing at all. Alright. Fair enough. Okay, now what do we do? I don't think leveling up Hex Drinker is all that necessary. Because next turn we have enough to make it a 4-4 anyway, and even that doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to be extremely, extremely cautious here and eat that land, even though it's pretty unnecessary in 90% of windows as far as I can tell. And then we'll hold up 2 more Ooze activations. We're leaving the altar in there because, as far as I know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't do anything in particular relative to a land, and it does grow our Goyf if we were to have found one, but... Okay. Pitching Vengevine to draw a card. Sure. Don't think we need to activate the Ooze quite yet. Okay. So, I think I'm going to eat the Gravecrawler here in response to the ability. Still have Surgical backup. We don't want them to loop that and mill over, again and again. Bloodghast. Don't really care about that at the moment. Another Carrion Feeder. Okay, so there's... Alright, we'll let it resolve. They really do have the Hogaak as their final card? Okay. Yep. You sure do. It's alright. I'm just going to eat that now. Don't know if it's correct. Maybe I just punted by not eating a card. We've still got Surgical for Vengevines. We've still got Surgical for this other Hogaak, I guess. If that becomes live. So... Is there anything we need to Surgical right now? Don't believe so. There's a Gravecrawler, that's annoying. It's very annoying. I actually was considering Gravecrawler, just Surgicaling Gravecrawler right there. Maybe I should have, right at the beginning of this whole sequence. Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah, maybe I was supposed to Surgical Gravecrawler. I guess that would have kept them off of having Exactsies for Hogaak. Alright. Okay, they scooped to that. Well, I don't know that I played that optimally. I do like my decision to play the Hex Drinkers out aggressively, and hey, look at that. Just the Savannah Lions. Just the color-shifted Savannah Lions providing enough of a clock. Because we just barely disrupted enough, right, to get there. So that was awesome. Scooz was obviously huge there. Yeah, I still not comfortable against this deck, guys, so my apologies if I made an obvious misplay. You know, them having to empty out their entire graveyard and tap out to play Hogaak, and the one unknown in their hand happening to be Hogaak, I don't know that that was the most obvious misplay, if indeed it was a misplay, but in any case, let's just run it back. I'm a little lower on this Fulminator Mage on the draw, but I mean, a Fatal Push can be okay in Windows if you've got Scooz or Spellbomb around, but we'll just try out that Fulminator. Alright, we've kind of got the same exact question here. We've got discard into Ooze, is that good enough? Now, in game 1 it was good enough, but I was on the play. I said last game I would keep it on the play. I'd consider and see what they do if I'm on the draw, and because of their mulliganing, I think I'm supposed to keep this. Like, Scavenging Ooze is graveyard hate, and it dodges a lot of their answers. They play, like, the Wear and Tear like we saw, so I think I'm supposed to keep this one as well. But I'm a lot less excited about it than I was on the play. However, the opponent mulliganing is definitely really nice. Downside is it's the London Mall, so they have a much higher likelihood of not mulling to Oblivion and also putting together a good start. But that's just how the format's going to be from now on, and hopefully they're not afraid to curate it if need be. You know, I think the London Mulligan is a good rule. It's a good rule in a vacuum, and it's a good rule in practice if we don't have just too many hyper degenerate decks in the format. In any case, the opponent is happy with 6. So we're pretty shields down for the moment. We only have 2 surgical extractions to mulligan to, so I think with our current configuration this is an acceptable keep. But yeah, like I said, a little less excited about it here on the draw. Okay, opponent's got a turn 1 play. What's it going to be? Blood Crypt. Could be looting, could be Neonate, could just be a hard cast. That's looting. Yep, that's the big difference. That's the Thoughtseize target. Bridge from below, Hogaak in the yard. And we draw Spellbomb. Well, that is just plain old lucky. And I think I'm just supposed to play out the Spellbomb here. And maybe, you know, if they have like a turn 2 altar, I can afford to not crack it right now. So, sure. I don't know if anything punishes me for this. What a nice draw. That was very fortunate. Now, let's say the opponent doesn't have anything to do. It's an interesting question as to how we utilize our Spellbomb, like how highly we rate the draw relative to some other options here. Insolent Neonate. Alright. They're going to get at least one zombie here. I think that's okay. Because if they've got something else that's good to pitch, I really need to, like another bridge, I really need to be able to answer it with this spell bomb, I think. And if they don't, then they get their value, but with a hand of Confidant, Ooze, and Plague Engineer, we're well equipped to beat the value game. Alright, they're just passing to us. Interesting. So with 4 cards in hand, we draw a land. That's a pretty good draw. I think we're supposed to Thoughtseize here. I think we're really supposed to Thoughtseize, get a card out of their hand on our terms, and get the most value out of Spellbomb possible. This is also going to allow us to redraw with the Spellbomb. Opponent deep in the tank on a lot of these decisions. To be fair, so am I. You know, I'm not the most experienced here. Okay, here we go. No more talking. Just... Okay. Man, this deck is difficult to play against. Then again, I used to think that about Dredge. Now I'm very comfortable there, so maybe it's just an experience thing. So the Wear and Tear, we're not going to take that. We don't care. We have very few targets for it, and one of them's about to be used. We could take the Bridge from Below, just so it never ends up in the graveyard. Or it does for a brief moment, I guess, but then we'll get it with a Spellbomb. But I think I want to take the Stixure Supplier. I think I want to take the thing... maybe we do have to actually just take Bridge. Supplier's a 1/1. You know, Plague Engineer naming zombies is obviously very good against Gravecrawler and Stixure Supplier. Letting them rebuild with Supplier is very annoying, but... like, if we take the Supplier now, then we're just giving them Insolent Neonate, Bridge from Below, after our Spellbomb resolves. We could also just slow roll the Spellbomb, I guess, and kind of force them to make the first move, but they will just Wear and Tear it. Alright, let's take the Bridge, I guess. Feels bad. We're going to Fetch and Shock here. So they get their value, they get a redraw, they get to start rebuilding next turn with a Supplier. Then we go on probably the Scooz plan. Just Spellbombing now. Yep, here comes the value. Not a ton I don't think we could do about that. So there's 2 bridges out of the game. They drew a Blackcleave Cliffs, they didn't have that. And they drew an Insolent Neonate, they didn't have that. So they pitched the Gravecrawlers in the yard now. They cast it back. They pitched Wear and Tear, so their hand is Stixure Supplier plus 1 unknown. We've drawn another Scooz and a trophy. Alright, so a pretty simple plan. I guess of going Scoos into Plague Engineer. And I guess it's got to be Scoos. I think it's got to be Scoos. Plague Engineer's pretty tempting, though. Stopping kind of like a Gravecrawler loop, but right now they don't have a way to make that a loop. So I guess we're going to Scoos here. And Unearth in hand, just like last game, is kind of an interesting failsafe. Like, if they do have a kill spell for the Ooze, we still might be able to stabilize because Unearth is so mana efficient. Okay, the Fetch. I don't like the look of that. Supplier plus 1 unknown in hand. They didn't get white mana. Interesting. Okay. There is the Supplier. You got it. Carrion Feeder, Insolent Neonate. Nothing too crazy. What's their last card? Altar of Dementia. Oh, of course it is. Of course it is. Yep, this punishes us for not playing Plague Engineer severely. Severely punishes us. They're attacking with all. This is awkward too, because, like, we want to eat something now. Maybe we are supposed to eat something now because they can go off a lot with Altar, but they can't... They can't cast Hogaak without, you know, unless they get lucky off their Altar hits. Maybe one Scoos activation isn't going to do it anyway, so... Alright, I'm gonna eat something and block here. But I don't like it. I really don't like it. Plague Engineer would have been the better play because they had exactly Altar. Maybe it's a better play in a vacuum, I don't know. But if they just don't get anything else too crazy going on right here, right now, and they don't. Okay, we draw a Swamp. It's pretty cool, but now I'm, like, they're just empty-handed, right? So if we just eat the Gravecrawler, we could also just trophy Altar of Dementia. It's actually kind of sweet. All right, we're just leaning really heavily on this one Scoos getting us by for one more turn. So we're going to trophy the Altar. See what the opponent does. Okay, stick your Supplier sack, no surprise. Nothing too crazy there, but those Insolent Neonates are annoying. Or, excuse me, those Faithless Lootings are annoying. Alright. So, now what do we do? If the opponent top decks Hogaak, we can't do much about it. We definitely have to eat that Gravecrawler, therefore we cannot eat both of their Faithless Lootings, so let's just eat the Gravecrawler. And I guess hold up the other Scoos activation. They didn't have another basic to get either, so that's cool. Matters very little in the grand scheme of this game, I'm certain, but... Alright. We're definitely staying back to block here for one more turn. Hopefully next turn we can, you know, the opponent does nothing of note here. We can begin turning the corner in this game. What did you top deck? Oh, it's a land. Nice. Okay, so interesting that they didn't Save that in hand for Faithless Looting? Maybe I just don't know the play patterns of this deck well enough. Shocking. Okay. Then loot? Sure. 2 lands. Okay, some dead draws are gone from the opponent's deck, but... Alright, we're just gonna grow the ooze. A green land, but it's a painful one. All right, so if we figure we're pretty priced into eating the Faithless Looting, what then is our next best play? Is it just to play another Scavenging Ooze? Probably. Alright, so we'll eat the looting. We've got a shock in here, but this should be acceptable. And I'm just playing super cautiously for one more turn. Okay, they're scooping to that. Beautiful. So, yeah, both post-side games, my friends. Discard into Scavenging Ooze got us there. So the return to 3 Scoos and the pivot to 7 1-mana discard spells got us there. Even against a Hogaak deck that kept 7/7/6 and we're not playing ley lines. We didn't see much hard hate. Admittedly, we top deck a Spellbomb game too, so we had some decent luck. And my play, I'm certain, was not fully optimal. It's just a deck that's still kind of a little unfamiliar to me, but we got there, and that's what counts. So good game, well played, and we're on to round 2, winning the die roll. Mana here's a little more awkward, but we have Inquisition into Bob. We're keeping. Opponent will keep 7. And it's Tron. Well, we called the linear decks, didn't we? So they've got Mine, they've got Tower, and they've got Stirring Star, Map, O-Stone. This hand is an absolute nut draw against us. Almost, you know. The only reason it's not is basically because we can take their turn 1 map. And that's what we've got to do. They just have so many ways to dig, though. They go Star into Stirrings over the next couple turns, but map is the take. And we're going to go, you know, take your map, play a Bob, and then maybe turn 3 Field of Ruin if we need to, or if we don't need to, we can go Liliana. So our hand is good too, but, you know, we hate to see these really... Have they top-decked a map? Oh my god. That's insane. Hey, we top-deck Nurturing Peatland. New plan. Decay your map. Alright. Feels bad against that Oblivion Stone that's in their hand, but I believe this to be correct. Okay. Sucks to not have our Bob down, but we've got all kinds of options next turn. We can Field into Thoughtseize, we can just Bob into Thoughtseize. They're going to play the Tower, yep. Tower into Sphere. So they're just drawing 1 mana stuff, which is really good for them. They still have that Star in hand. Now it's Stirring's time. Stirring shows us the power plant. Well, I guess that tells us what we've got to do. We've got to Field into Thoughtseize. Unfortunately. Yeah, it makes all the difference in the world to have a threat down. But we don't. And we can't just let them have Tron. So... Field your Tower, get a Swamp, Thoughtseize you. Okay, Chromatic Star, Ugin, Oblivion Stone, and another Forest. I think we're going to take O-Stone and just kind of hope they don't assemble Tron. Like, Ugin is a card that we really can't beat. But O-Stone for, like, against our slow... We haven't started clocking yet. O-Stone is a real issue. So I'm going to take the O-Stone here. O-Stone is almost as good as an Ugin, and if you're disrupting them and you're also dependent on permanents that get recursive value like Bob and Lily. There's that star, sure. Alright, so they dug a little bit more, but not a perfect turn. Okay, we draw Inquisition, which severely punishes us for taking the O-Stone last turn, but I still believe that to have been correct. And I think we kind of want to Inquisition into Bob here again. It could very well whiff, but it's now or never, and we really want to get a clock going, so... Oh, it's a tough call, though. Liliana's great right now, but let's Inquisition. Another Oblivion Stone. And we are rewarded. This is a very swingy game with some very good top decks, frankly, on both sides. It's very swingy already. Unfortunately, they do have the I win button of Ugin if they ever find a tower. But for now, they don't. Confidant flips a land. Okay, good enough for me. I think Urborg is actually what we're supposed to pitch here, though, because that could turn, if they have like a random main deck dismember or something, that could make that better. So Liliana hopefully going to put in a big shift here. And we're just shocking in that tomb because we're going to crack Peatland on the end step almost certainly. Ugin has gone by the wayside. And our position now is very strong, but we can always just lose to Tron top decks. But our position, considering how slow to get going we were with a clock and a board presence, our position is strong. We disrupted very, very well. Sometimes it's not enough, but sometimes it is. Okay, hers is mine, floating green with a forest, passing through the phase, okay. So, cracking Peatland aggressively with a Liliana that's ticking up around us sometimes can be a little loose on a value axis, but here we just, like it's Tron, we just need to dig. So we get to see 3 new cards here. One's a Verdant Catacombs, one's a Hex Drinker, one's a Field of Ruin. Okay. Well, we're going to tick up and pitch the fetch. Some pretty good finds here. Okay, opponent will lose a Relic. So they have 1 card in hand. If we field the power plant now, we can then play Hex Drinker and level it up twice. I guess that's worth doing. We're probably not going to catch them without a basic to fetch. They probably play 4 or maybe even 5. So... Bobby getting in for 2. Field your power plant. Grab a forest. Play Hexy, level it up twice. Okay. So opponent's very far away from Tron, but them just casting, hard casting things is definitely live here. But whatever's in their hand, we might be able to get it out right now. So, Inquisition of Kozilek. Alright, we're ticking Lily up, pitching that. Okay, they scoop. Beautiful. Nice game 1 win against Tron. Our disruption was amazing. Abrupt Decay at the right time. All that discard. Fields of Ruin, Liliana's of the Veil. Confidant for card advantage, and now we've got the clock on board as well. So, lovely. Lovely win against Tron, and now we have 2 chances to win a match post-side. So, our odds are okay, but we definitely don't want to get too cavalier. We don't actually have... Yeah, we have a good amount to do. We have 6 cards, and I guess Tracker is, technically something that does something, but a little bit of a non-bow with Oof, and not something I actively want to side in. But let's see what we don't like. Fatal Push, we don't like. Collective Brutality, we don't like. We can cut a Scooze, this is kind of the normal siding, but Plague Engineer is also pretty bad against Tron. So is Tireless Tracker better than Plague Engineer? I would say yes. Is anything else better than either of those? Do we want to leave in a Brutality? No, I don't think so, not on the draw. Is Ooze better? Probably not. Tireless Tracker really can end the game, despite being slow if we disrupt well enough, so I kind of like that. Whoa, where's my good stuff? Here we go. I kind of like that sideboarding. Again, there is a non-bow between Oof and Tracker, but if we have the Oof online, that is worth it. That is well worth it. Yeah. Okay. I like the setup. Of course, we just, after a few leagues of, probably 4 or 5 leagues total between on-camera and off of playing 2 Oof and not running into any matchups where it's particularly good, we run into Tron, but that's alright. That is the wide format of Modern for you. Okay, we've got Inquisition, we've got Liliana, we've got Fulminator. This is too slow to disrupt natural Tron, but if they're dependent on Sylvan Scrying to assemble turn 3 Tron, we can disrupt it. I think it's a keep. What are we mulling to? A 3 of Assassin's Trophy. It's the only other thing that really disrupts that better than this, so yeah, we'll keep. Opponent keeping 7 is not welcome. Oh, but they go turn 1 Forest. Okay, so they just kept a lands and spells hand because they're against an interactive deck. They tutor for Expedition Map. That's probably what we're going to take with our turn 1 Inquisition. Okay, so all of a sudden our hand's looking awesome because they led on Forest. It's not something you want to do as a Tron player. If you can at all help it. Again, I can only assume they just wanted to keep a somewhat functional 7. But that's very surprising to see, especially with the London Mulligan active. And now it means our turn 3 Fulminator is guaranteed to be good enough to disrupt Tron. We draw Field of Ruin 2. Nice. And we've got Liliana to take over the mid-game. We have no clock, but that's okay. You can't ask for much more than this, really. Just a 2-drop like Oof or Bob or Goif is all you could really ask for. Okay, Expedite. Oh, it's a 1-lander? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, pretty clearly taking the map, and if they even miss a land drop for 1 turn, we are in such good shape. Now, granted, we won't be able to fulminate their basic forest. I'm no Tron expert, but I'm 99% sure that hand is a mulligan, but Okay, star. No land. Okay, let's draw an oof. Let's draw the oof. We draw Tarmogoyf. I will take it, my friends. I will take that all day. Do we need to fetch now? Not strictly, but I think it's just fine too. Grow the Goyf and all that. Okay, that was a good draw. So now either the opponent digs a little bit for a land and doesn't get one, in which case we just go Liliana and we're very favored, or the opponent does find a land and we Fulminator it. I guess they could find another basic forest and then that all changes, but oh, the one-lander, still the one-lander. Okay. And we draw Treetop Village. That's fine. So we're going to Liliana pitching Forest. Whatever they pitch is got a decent shot of growing our Goyf here. They could also just scoop to this. They won't. Alright, well. Yeah, Karn the Great Creator, sure. 4/5 Tarmogoyf coming at you. Yep. Pretty easy mulligan, I believe, for our opponent here. But they didn't, and we're taking full advantage. Okay, that's interesting, you know? Yeah, okay, so that's definitely one of the more annoying things that could happen is they do find another land and it's a basic forest. So we can't really field or Fulminator effectively. Okay, so their hand is mine. Let's just take up first and see what happens. We'll picture our Blooming Marsh pretty clearly. Yeah, if they had just presented any land that was able to be Stone Rained here by our Fulminator, this game would be over. As it is, you can imagine a sequence of events where it's not. Maybe involving, like, Relic of Progenitus and who knows, but obviously we're approaching the Liliana Ultimate as well. So there's probably much ado about nothing, but interesting. It makes the game interesting that they did find a forest there. I think I'm just going to play Treetop Village and just expose the Fulminator. Like, yeah, if they, like, if they have, like, Dismember, that could get awkward, but the alternative to playing Fulminator would be to play Field of Ruin, and then we're not getting our Treetop Village down. I think we're supposed to get Treetop Village down. Really don't know what the holdup is for the opponent either. So, let's say they pitch a top-end thing. I think we're still just playing Fulminator. What if they make it a 5/6 here with their pitch? Then we're hitting them down to 11. Still not lethal next turn. 5/8/10 with Fulminator unless we can grow the Goyf to a 6/7 by then. There's no way they grow it to a 6/7 now, because Artifact is already in the yard. Artifact creature being 2 types, of course. Sorry for the holdup here, guys. I hope the opponent's not just BMing us. No reason to believe that they are, but it could be the case. So, why don't I write down 15:30 as the time, and maybe we'll cut the video. Okay, opponent just scoops it up less than 30 seconds later. As you can see, I just started jamming the fan. I don't think I'll edit that out. That's only 28 seconds. All right, we got there. Opponent was just... I don't know whether they were deciding whether to play it out or not, but hey, we just crushed mono green Tron pretty badly, admittedly on the back of a loose keep from the opponent, but that's kind of the nature of our deck. It punishes the stumble, and in a blind game 1, let's give the opponent the benefit of the doubt and assume they would never keep that hand in a blind game 1. Our aggressive hand attack and other forms of disruption made them probably scared to mulligan, and that's kind of where our free win originated. So, we don't get that many free wins. We've got to smile when they come our way, and we are 2-0, winning all the die rolls as well. This looks like a fine blind hand to me. We'll keep it. And I think I'm going to go Swamp into Thoughtseize here in a blind game 1. Obviously, there are, like if we're against Hogaak again or something, I'm going to wish I grabbed another green source. But I think overall this is the correct play. We're already taking a lot of pain between Thoughtseizing and having a Peat land as one of our 3 lands with a fairly mono-hungry progression. And we are against Neoform Gristlebrand. So they have, let's see, Allosaurus Rider, which they can cast right now if we don't take it. They have the combo with it, which is Evolution, and they have Safe Right Quest for ramp. I guess we're just taking the Rider. So if they find another Rider, they can cast it, exiling Quest and Evolution, and have another Evolution to actually go off with it. So that's not great, but they also really have a lot of work to do to find that. So Skoos and Engineer are some pretty poor threats here, but we're going to play them out and just hope our Grizzly Bears get it done. We obviously want to find more disruption. Liliana the Veil, Inquisition, Thoughtseize, Collective Brutality, Dark Confidant, Fatal Push, another pretty bad card right now. So, trying to decide what's best here, like, playing another Grizzly Bear is obviously pretty bad in the form of Plague Engineer, but it does actually double our clock, basically. Alternatively, we could crack Peatland, but then there's kind of this disconnect between, do we hold up black in case we draw a discard spell, or do we hold up green so we can eat that Allosaurus Rider and grow our Skoos? So I don't know what's best. I think I'm just going to play Plague Engineer. So in that case, let's attack first. And I'm going to name Human with the Plague Engineer because it shuts off Wild Cantor. I don't know if there's anything better to shut off. I doubt it, but I haven't seen this deck in a while, so if there's anything else, let me know. You could name Human or I think Druid with Wild Cantor, but I know it's a Human, so I'll just name that. And they're just keeping Safe Right Quest in their hand just to have more green cards for another Rider, I suppose. Oh, okay. Never mind. Maybe they have enough green cards now. Okay, Inquisition of Kozilek. Good draw. Let's begin with that. Okay, Neoform, Evolution, and a Chancellor of the Tangle. So I think Neoform is just a little bit better than Evolution in this deck. We'll take it. I like cracking Peatland here rather than growing the Ooze, I think. Well, that's a problem if we draw like Liliana or something, then we don't have double black. Alright, let's change our minds. We're just going to keep our lands around for now. Opponent with a Serum Vision, that's a pretty good draw. One bottom, one top. Okay, the top's a little scary. Breeding Pool. Okay, now I kind of wish I had cracked my Peatland to find more action. We draw Verdant Catacombs, so now it's safe to do so. Let's do it. Maelstrom Pulse, not the greatest. We're drawing a lot of bad cards here. But we are, you know, we have disrupted the opponent. Again, the star of the show, they got a Summoner's Pact, sure. Star of the show has been Thoughtseizing Inquisition. Now, they are down to 8, so they can... Yeah, they packed for a rider. Okay. Exiling Evo and Chancellor. Then they'll cast their other Evo. Griselbrand. So I'm going to respond to this by trophying the Griselbrand. And that's actually fairly live play. So they get to refuel their hand, but... Okay, another Serum, sure. It's very possible they just can kind of... Ooh, another Serum. Well, they get more looks. They went bottom with that first one. That's the concession. All right, Assassin's Trophy. Taking out the Griselbrand there, and but the 1-mana discard star of the show, Thoughtseizing Inquisition, we won with literal Grizzly Bears, almost, because hand attack, hand disruption, so good. Star of the show. And against Neoform Griselbrand. I don't know that we have all that much to bring in. Probably Surgicals. Definitely this Collective Brutality. I don't really know what else is even great. Like, there might be a little bit of graveyard value present in some builds, like I've seen Noxious Revival here and there, but I don't think we really want to actually use Nile Spellbomb out of the side. It's an interesting one. A lot of the stuff that we've just kind of trimmed, you know, over the last couple leagues, moved away from like our Grafdigger's Cage. We had Duress in here for a little while. That stuff would all be good. Maybe it's just like Fulminator Mage is kind of the best of the rest. I don't think anything else is very good, and we've definitely got some bad stuff to bring out. So, Fatal Push, Abrupt Decay, Plague Engineer are all kind of bad. Maelstrom Pulse doesn't do that much, and then we could cut Skoos, but at this rate we might as well not. It's just a quicker clock. You know what? Tireless Tracker might be better than some of the other things we're doing. Actually. So, I think I like cutting all of these pretty freely. I think I maybe like bringing in all of these, but maybe is a Tracker better than like a Fulminator Mage? I think it might be. So, do we play the third Fulminator, or do we play one Maelstrom Pulse? In other words, do we want an out if they kind of have another out to Griselbrand that is resolved but hasn't fully comboed off to kill us? I don't know what's correct here, so I'll keep the Pulse in. We'll only play 2 Fulminator, especially on the draw. Fulminator's not that great anyway, as far as I can tell. We'll see if they take us to Game 3, then maybe we can bring back the third Fulminator and just try to make them have the combo and a critical mass of cards and enough lands while we're attacking them on all axes. But, you know, the meat and potatoes of the matchup is pretty clear. The marginal decisions, as always, my friends, you can let me know what you think. This hand's not good enough. Turn 2 Tarmogoyf is nice, but it does very little else. The opponent keeping 7 is very bad news. They might just have Leyline of Sanctity, so if we mulligan... We're not going to mulligan heavily toward discard, but this is still just a mulligan in general. This hand is not very good either, but better than going to 6. We've got the turn 2 Bobs for some inevitability. I guess we'll keep it. Let's ship the Pulse. And the opponent does not have pregame effects. Interesting. They could just have the combo, though. That's a very real possibility. Or they just have turn 1 Serum Visions, you know. I guess that doesn't preclude the combo entirely, does it? But one bottom, one top, sure. Alright, we got a Surgical Extraction, but we can't cast our Inquisition because our lands are bad. So, Hissing Quagmire looking very, very clunky right there. And here's the Summoner's Pact. You wonder if we could have disrupted this with an untapped black land, right? But we are down, you know, we only have one each of these man lands at this point. So are we surgicaling anything away here? Do we surgical Allosaurus Rider just so they can't, like, do a second part of the combo here and so they have fewer big green cards to pitch to Nourishing Shoal? I don't know if that's correct, but I guess I'll do it. Pretty annoying that, again, Inquisition on that Pact could have changed this game altogether. Opponent's hand is Worm and Shoal. Oh my god. Well, that is the perfect follow-up, so I'm pretty certain unless the opponent misclicks, we are just dead. That's ridiculous, and their hand would be doing stone cold nothing if we had been able to turn 1 Inquisition, so feels bad, man, feels bad. So the opponent does indeed have a Wild Canter that we can also name Aper Spirit with Plague Engineer, not that he's in the deck anymore. 1 Safe Right Quest, 1 Pact of Negation, 1 Edge of Autumn. Cycles, sack a land, tutors a land, alright. Laboratory Maniac. Okay. So, I think this combo should be executed quickly enough that we just make them execute it. From the sideboard, I don't think there's anything in particular that makes me wish to change things up. I suppose the opponent technically could fizzle as well, but maybe that with Worm and Shoal in their two card hand before they drew, maybe it's just not possible that they fizzle. I don't know. Maybe we're only dependent upon human error at this stage of the game. Yeah, you know, if that was an untapped black land, we go Inquisition, take the Summoner's Pact, then we go turn 2 Dark Confidant, and from there they could, of course, just top deck another Pact or something, but we would be in the game, we would be up and running, so... Okay, they've got us. GG. Turn 2 kill. Can't say it was a turn 2 kill through much disruption, but technically it was a turn 2 kill through surgical, which I think could have saved us if they got really unlucky with what was in their hand and what they found off the first couple Gristlebrand hits, but obviously not a very realistic way to save our bacon in that game. So this third Fulminator, is that interesting in any way, shape, or form? It's interesting to note that Abrupt Decay can kill Laboratory Maniac, but it's not like You know, I think that's cute against Ad Nauseam, but I think they just kill us too quickly for us to realistically have Decay open. Doesn't really do anything else much, so it's really just the third Fulminator we're considering. Is that better than a Scooze? I'll try it. On the play, I'll try it. Okay. Well, the opponent kept 7. They kept the turn 2 combo. What are you going to do? That's the deck. We could have mulliganed to 5, but I think our keep was fairly reasonable. Would you like to play first? Yes, I sure would. And what do we have? Well, we have 2 Inquisitions into not much that's great, but it's a keep. It's an obvious keep. And hey, you know what? I was about to say, let's hope they don't have a ley line. I don't think they showed us ley lines unless I totally glossed over that. So that is cool. Surprising with the London Mulligan Live that they don't have ley lines in this deck, but I'm not mad about it if that's the case. Like I said, maybe I just missed it, though. I don't know. You'd think the white cards would have jumped out at me, and hopefully they just don't have them. Opponent keeping 7, so okay, 2-lander, 2-packed Shoal Evolution. Alright, and a Simian Guide. Well, right now the Eldritch Evolution is the non-redundant piece of their hand. I suppose that's our take. Taking green cards in general is definitely good as well when all else is being equal. So let's do that. Now, what I don't know is if we Inquisition next turn, whether it's better to take a Shoal or a Pact. Choosing not to take Pact seems so loose, but if they have 2, then they have 2, you know? We're not really maybe doing much by taking the first Pact. Botanical Sanctum, pass. Okay, we have an Urborg. I think we're Inquisitioning again. Like, if this was a Tarmogoyf or a Bob, I would probably take the risk of not disrupting for a turn to play it. But the payoff for our Grizzly Bears is not really there, so. Okay, they have the Worm, so I'm going to take Shoal here. The same principles as before apply, plus that just extends the game by a ton if we leave it around. Like, best case scenario for us, that extends the game a ton. They can, of course, also just combo off and kill us, but if they're just spinning their wheels while we clock them, then they can gain, whatever, 15 life or something crazy. Okay, so they drew a Gemstone Mine. We know their whole hand. We drew Surgical Extraction. Okay. Urborg makes Gemstone Mine able to produce some kind of mana painlessly, black mana to be exact. So I guess it's better to just play our field for now. And Extraction's a nice draw, because we can, if they do rip the combo off the top, we can extract, I guess, Nourishing Shoal would be the play. Waterlogged Grove. And passing. Another Surgical, sure. Well, now we play our Urborg. Crack a clue. Looking for some discard spells or like a 2-drop threat that's better than Scooze. Okay, we have a Scooze. We just drew a land. And now we might even, like, if they packed, or maybe we let them cast the Rider first, then we can extract Evolutions and Shoals. I don't know. I don't know if that's correct. We'll have to see when we... Oops. Have to see when we get there. Notably, we can cast our Scooze painlessly this turn. Doesn't matter, really, but... Okay, they're cashing in the Grove. You got it. Okay, Double Surgical as backup is pretty nice. Another Botanical Sanctum for the OP. Nothing but linear decks today, my friends, and to be fair, that's exactly what we expected. Alright, here comes the Rider. So, they have exiled Worm and Pact. So their hand is Pact, Guide, 1 Unknown. Do we take actions in response? Do we... I guess let's extract Shoals in response. And see what their hand is like. Okay, so they have another Allosaurus Rider in hand. So we're getting the Shoal. We're getting all Shoals. And they're not up to much right now. I guess it's just a value play. A 4/4, admittedly kind of good against our current board. Okay, so they do have a Life Goes On in the deck. Alright, so their hand is a Rider plus Pact and Guide. Inquisition of Kozilek. Okay. Make a couple clues. Cracking 1, drawing a land. Alright, Inquisition you. Is it wrong to just take the Simian Guide here? I'm going to do it. They can't cast the Pact yet. And I don't think they have anything particularly relevant to get anyway. Alright, we'll crack a clue before damage here. Attacking us, sure. Did they draw another green card to hardcast the Rider? They did. Oh, they have yet another Rider, sure. So their hand's totally empty. We just have to beat a pair of 4/4s now, basically. Think we can do it. Alright. The clue train rolls on. Alright, so we're gonna just attack with Tracker, I guess. They're dead if they take the hit. Because we have Collective Brutality to drain. Alright, good game. Wow, okay. That was intense. That was close. That was cool. And we got there. We got there over yet another linear all-in deck. They're all coming out to play in the wake of the London Mulligan going live, and before the ban list smacks him down. The ban list has got to smack one of these decks down. Probably just Hogaak. Probably the other ones are fine for now. But hey, you know, we're just gonna try to drive them out of the format without needing the ban list, just by playing fair, interactive Magic the Gathering. We're 3-0, guys. 3-0. Cash the league, taking down a variety of linear decks. And feels good. Feels really good. I'm not that comfortable against Hogaak Vine. I'm not even that comfortable against Neoform Gristlebrand. Looking back, I didn't make any plays that later in the game I'm like, I don't know if that was correct, but you can see, perhaps, at least if nothing else, by the speed of my play, while also trying to narrate an entertaining and coherent narration for you. The speed of my play against Tron versus the speed of my play against the other two decks. These other two are just a little bit new to me. They're both newcomers to the scene, and guys, I just don't get to play that much Magic, unfortunately. Most of the time when I'm playing, you see it. So that was probably like my fifth match ever against Neoform, and I believe my sixth ever against Hogaak Vine. And a lot of these, against decks like that, a lot of the games are over before they really begin, right? So you don't necessarily develop as much comfort with the back and forth, with the ebb and flow. You don't have as good of a feel for the game, but we're getting by. We're getting by, and here we are. Round 4. Round 4, feeling good. And winning the die rolls, that's huge. That's huge, and seeing lots of discard in the opener, this is a great hand. We'll keep it all day. 7 discard spells is looking really good. Really good right now. Given the changes and given the admittedly small sample size here, but boy oh boy. I'm going to have to put either Inquisition or Thoughtseize on the thumbnail for this league, I think. Opponents down to 6. They have... I almost said, did they scry to the top or bottom? Well, that's not a thing anymore. So they just sculpted their 6 and... Oh, it's Hogaak Vine again. Okay. Alright, well, it's the all-linear gauntlet we're running, and it's a 1-lander. They have Crypt... This is kind of a similar decision we had to make before, right? Because they have Crypt Breaker. But we have 2 discard spells this time around, so I think we take the Supplier here, and then next turn we Thoughtseize away the Altar. I think. They're still going to get the bridge in the graveyard that way, though, on turn 2. Man, these Hogaak hands are sometimes so resilient to interaction, it's frustrating. Alright, so what if we just let them have the Stick Your Supplier? The problem is that just mills 6 all day and is a chump blocker or even an attacker. Alright, I think we take the Supplier. But they're gonna get some kind of engine going one way or the other, it seems, kinda no matter what we do there. Yep, turn 1 Crypt Breaker. Alright, Fatal Push would actually be really good here. We don't get it. We don't get it. So... pretty much just have to Thoughtseize away that altar. They got their second land, too. That's a problem. That was another out that we had. They just stay on 1 land forever. Or for long enough for us to find more things to do. But they got the second land, so now they get to get Bridge in the graveyard, make a zombie, All the fun stuff. All of the most fun things. And there's no need for them to do it right now, I suppose, so they won't. We'll go get a tomb, and I don't know what we're hoping to top deck exactly. But I wouldn't say no to a Scooze. Abrupt Decay. Alright. Pretty well punished for taking away the altar. It's happened a few times where we make, I think, a justifiable play, and then the way things break, it just doesn't get us there. So it's Dark Confidant time. Dark Confidant, find us the goods. Confidant's got to find us some lands, and then we're going to naturally draw Scooze, and it's going to be great. Right? Something like that. We might just be dead here. You know, they could brick from here, but pretty unlikely. I think they've worked themselves into a pretty good spot where most cards off the top are going to be helpful in some way, shape, or form. Including a Faithless Looting, which is just pretty much perfect. Sometimes they've just got it. He just pitched 2 Vengevines. They don't even need to go on the Hogaak plan, apparently. Or maybe that's the only things they had to pitch. No, they're just getting the whole thing in the graveyard this turn. Alright, well, if only we played main deck Nile Spellbombs, we would have that as actually a fantastic out, but... No, sorry. They make the zombie, they get to get Hogaak back this turn. There's just nothing they didn't do this turn. They've got it all. Alright, yeah, we're done for. I guess unless we draw a trophy, then we're just in a position where we're probably losing to the zombie army, but not deterministically. I'm going to be pretty annoyed if this deck doesn't get anything banned from it. And if you've been with me for a while, you've known that I'm actually very conservative with calling for bans, but I think this is just ban-worthy, whether it be looting or something else more specifically targeted at the deck, or even both. You know, I'm not saying no to both. I'm not saying no to both by any means. So... does decaying the Crypt Breaker get us anywhere? Or should we just crack a peatland desperately digging? A Field of Ruin. Alright, I guess we're gonna do that. Do we do it now? If we do it now, they get another zombie to attack us this upcoming turn. You know what? I'm just conceding. We're just dead. Like, we can technically find trophy for Hogaak next turn. It doesn't matter. We're just dead to the bridge from below. So, alright. Fair enough. Yeah. Tough hand to beat game 1 for us. As it happens, if we had not taken the altar, maybe that Abrupt Decay for the turn 2 altar actually gets us there, but that doesn't mean it was correct. It just means it was another option that could have gone better. I think these are the 9 cards we brought in last time, at the expense of 4 Liliana, 4 Fatal Push, and a Collective Brutality, I believe, is what we ended up doing. Seems fine. Did we end up doing anything about Tracker? I don't remember, and I still don't know whether or not it would be correct. Just gonna run it like this. A 1-of Tracker does seem very serviceable if we disrupt them heavily, and both decks would otherwise brick, but we can turn our Tracker into Inevitability. Could be better as a second Fulminator Mage, but every time that deck beats me, it just has gone off before I could even cast Fulminator, so... We'll play first. And we've got no Disruption, but we do have a Scooze. So, I'm pretty cool keeping discard into Scooze. I don't think I should keep nothing into Skoos. It's fine if and only if the opponent mulligans heavily to a dirtily hand, and I don't think we... I think we can afford at least one mulligan. Okay, this hand is much better. The mana sucks, though. Opponent keeping 7. Linear decks keeping 7 all day against us. We'll keep this... And... You know, I guess we bottom the Pulse, but it's kind of tempting to bottom a Goyf and keep both of these answer cards, but because our mana's so bad, I think it's correct to bottom that Pulse. And I'm also just going to run out the Spell Bomb here turn 1. Maybe they have a kill spell for it. Maybe they have a, you know, maybe they have Artifact Destruction, but I don't feel able to slow roll it. Supplier, sure. Carrion Feeder, Altar of Dementia. Yeah, nothing we care about this turn. We draw Skoos, okay. Even though we're taking a lot of pain and our mana sucks, I think that's still correct to play that here. It's pretty unfortunate if they have an altar, we've got a Decay sitting in hand, but we'd need to draw a colored source to an untapped colored source to be able to cast it next turn. And even if we do, that makes our Skoos and Spellbomb worse. Carrion Feeder. Sure. Sacking Supplier, perhaps? Oh, okay, Neonate. Alright, they've got a lot. They've just got the turn 2 Hogaak. Okay. Good times. Good times in Modern. And we bottomed our Maelstrom Pulse, which was the answer to the Hogaak. I don't know. Again, did I even have a realistic window to Spellbomb where it made any sense whatsoever? Not that I saw. And Plague Engineer would be actually great here, but we just still don't have our third land. Pretty horrendous. I think we're actually just going to pass rather than play a Tarmogoyf that's a 0-1. We're going to take a massive hit from Hogaak and then probably just die the following turn, but... Oh, goodness. Well... Faithful Suiting. Alright, opponent's draw was very, very resilient here. You know, even if we had better disruption. Little difficult to see us getting there against all this stuff, but who knows? Bridge from Below and Altar of Dementia, because they don't even need the altar at this stage. I don't have any good blocks here. They're all bad in various ways, so I'll just do that. And are we yeah, we're just spellbombing here. Inquisition, pretty bad draw at this stage of proceedings. Can't, you know, can't talk it down, though, because the discard has been what's winning us the games here. Alright, I don't even know what our out is here at 6 life. Field of Ruin. Okay, we can play Plague Engineer, and this... Why wouldn't this thing trample? Like, if this didn't trample, okay, an interesting spot. As is, Plague Engineer... Like, we go to 5 because we have a peatland. Then we have to... Yeah, we're just dead. We're just dead. We can also play Tarmogoyf. And also pretty much just be dead. Alright, I'm scooping. I have seen enough. Again, did I have a window to Spellbomb there where it made any sense whatsoever? I don't think so, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just, like, have to Spellbomb away, like, those 3 cards that I don't care about just in case they have Exactsies to get Hogaak back, which seems to happen all the time. Like, they seem to, on turn 2, have exactly enough cards to Delvoy and exactly enough creatures to Convoke to just get the Hogaak out. So maybe you just have to Spellbomb on site no matter what. Who knows? But, so, apologies there, my friends, if I did drop that game, but... I don't think we were beating that pretty much no matter what I did. Got a mulligan here. Got a mulligan to another 1-lander, huh? And we are on the play. Opponent keeping 7. Yeah, the good thing is it's a nice low curve, so we're gonna keep this, but it's a peatland. This is a terrible 6. Do we just go to 5 here? I mean, we've been only against decks where our life total barely matters, so I'm going to keep it and assume we're against another unfair deck. We're going to bottom the Plague Engineer. And... you know, with our luck, maybe we'll be against Burn or an Ether Vial deck this time, right? And get punished for this. We are against, you know, blue-red something or other, Magmatic Sinkhole. That could see play in a variety of blue decks. So what do we take here? So we'll just take Lightning Bolt. It's the least redundant piece of their hand, and it does let us play a Goyf next turn if we draw the land in relative safety. We really just need to draw the land, though. If we do, you know, whatever happens after that is whatever. We've got resiliency in the hand. We've got some interesting things to do. But we don't hit the second land. We we might just be kind of giving up the free win here. They go top. Okay, nice draw. It's a second land, and it's a fetch land. So on the off chance we're against Blue Moon, that's nice. Whatever we're up against, this makes it the Goyf Bolt proof. Now, granted, it's going to die to Magmatic Sinkhole at some point in this game, but just making the opponent's life a little bit more difficult. Dark Confidant, sure. That's our play. They could have all kinds of bad news, you know, they could have something as bad as Electrolyze next turn, I guess, depending on what we're against, but definitely got to try to unmulligan ourselves with Bob, stay proactive, all that good stuff. And if it is a control deck, if it is just blue-red control, you know, blue-red thing in the moon, something like that, we'll be very happy we played this Bob out. If it is something more common like Phoenix that just, yeah, it's Blue Moon, okay. Alright, Bob, draw us some basic lands. Liliana of the Veil. Alright, well, we're completely locked out of everything right now except Unearth, and we probably want to save the Unearth to buy back the Goyf, because that is one of our best cards in this matchup, and they have a kill spell for it. So, pretty bad deck to take a mulligan against at all, much less such a clunky mulligan here, but you know, Tarmogoyf and Dark Confidant are 2 cards that can really help. Okay, they're letting Bob live. Cool. Inquisition. Fatal Push. Alright, let's attack. If this is just a sinkhole on the Goyf, then we can unearth and just force them to keep having answers. Looks like more likely a cryptic command. Bouncing the Goyf. Yeah, that's very good. Really unlucky that we haven't hit another land off of Bob of any kind. So let's Inquisition, of course, here. Serum Vision's Force of Negation. There's, like, no good take there. Serums are just pretty free casts for them next turn, and Force is obviously an issue as a hard cast negate, or as a way for them to just keep us off of things in an emergency. I think we're going to take the Serum, though. And as I said, unfortunately, no fourth land, rather, means we are just passing. Missed our window to resolve a Hex Drinker, which could have been very good if we got it to level 3. Okay, Flame Slash, sure. I was going to say if they, we're pretty priced into holding up the Unearth rather than cycling it. But now that they've got another kill spell in hand, do we just cycle Unearth? I'm going to keep it because it's just one of our only castable spells. Like, yes, they can Sinkhole the Bob, but this is our way to eventually battle through their interaction. They're just going to force it, sure. Blood Moon, one of my most absolutely hated Magic cards. Single-handedly one of the reasons I play Rock over any other BGX variant, because I just can't stand losing to this card. But looks like we're going to potentially be losing to it anyway. No real reason to play that Blooming Marsh, I guess. Archmage's Charm. Yep. Alright. Jace the Mind Sculptor. Well, those... heck of a draw out from the opponent. Really, really. Just finding all the good stuff. They're just going to Fate Seal us out of the game here. Okay, they Fate Seal Verdant Catacombs to the top. Alright. We'll wait until they Fate Seal something to the bottom. Then maybe we can draw out of this Abrupt Decay on the Moon. So I don't think we're supposed to scoop quite yet. But our position is awful. They top again. Okay, Dark Confidant, that's action. We'll play it. Cryptic Command, or Snap Crypt. Okay, Remand, sure. Almost as good as Cryptic, actually, in that situation. Alright, well. They just keep topping, so we're pretty done for, I guess. Yeah, that's enough for me. Right? You know what? We're close enough. It's not like they're just brainstorming every turn with Jace. We can keep playing this up. Spell Snare. Yeah, sometimes it feels like these control decks they have everything for us, Spell Snare. Obviously good against a lot in the meta, but very, very, very good against us. Hey, they bottom. So we've got a chance. You're saying there's a chance. We find Basic Forest, we decay the Moon, we unlock the rest of our land base, and it's a Blooming Marsh. Alright, now I'm scooping. Okay. Blood Moon. Blood Moon. This is technically a fair deck, but it's a Blood Moon deck. So this is the fairest deck we faced, and it's a deck kind of built around generating non-games of Magic, but admittedly they do a lot of interacting to get there. So there's that. Nile Spellbomb is worth considering in some number, as is Fulminator Mage. They do play a fair amount of basics. We're definitely bringing in Brutality Tracker, Last Hope. Definitely not bringing in these cards. We'll cut our other Plague Engineer. This has not been a good league for a 4 Plague Man deck. He's awesome, but we've just been seeing all of the non-creature-based decks. Or if they are creature-based, they're Hogaak Vine. Fatal Pushes, I suppose, even though they could be on a Thing in the Ice plan, whether main deck or out of the side. Maybe we cut them all until we see otherwise. I think a Scooz is a free cut when they're attacking our access to green mana, plus just playing lots of bolts and other red removal. So if we cut those cards, we also can probably cut a land. What land should we cut? Should we cut Field of Ruin here? Probably. I think I kind of like cutting Field rather than Blooming Marsh. That lets us curve out better. They don't have many good targets with Field. They're already geared toward having as many basics as they can afford because they're Blood Moon deck. Anything else we're not in love with here? Kind of like all the rest of our deck. So what if we go 3 Fulminator, 3 of these, and then just 1 Spellbomb until we see more? Seems perfectly reasonable to me. Alright, now we gotta take 2 games off of Blue Moon post side. Not gonna be easy, but sometimes they just can't realistically kill a Tarmogoyf. But Magmatic Sinkhole was such a good printing for Blue-Red Moon, Blue-Red Delver decks like that. That's their good main deckable way to kill Goyf consistently. In any case, we'll see if we can get there. This is super soft to Blood Moon, but we've got 2 discard spells, so I think we're supposed to keep. Which not only can, of course, take away the moons themselves, but just be generally what we want to see in our opening hand anyway. They do have Thing in the Ice. Wow. Well, they have a really, really good hand. Think I might be taking Relic and then taking Thing. Even though Relic doesn't actively disrupt anything we're doing right now, like the Liliana buyback plan will get a lot worse against a Relic. And it's just amazing value for them. It's just attacking one of our important resources in this matchup and also eventually drawing them a card. Okay, Maelstrom Pulse. Not the most thrilling of draws here, but it plays. Maybe, just maybe it allows us to not have to take the Thing here. Okay. Remand. Okay, maybe that's the new plan. So, we're going to leave the Thing and try to pulse it. Does that mean we take Remand, or do we take Snapcaster the night of the long game? I think we kind of like taking Snapcaster here, make them decide between holding up Remand and playing Thing. If they just hold up Remand, we can field to fix our own mana. Potentially. Maybe they won't give us a target, though. Tough calls thus far. They could also just, like, see a couple cards, top deck a Blood Moon, and it's just kind of GG, but... Okay, they hold up Remand. Well... Do we just get the Remand out of their hand now? Or do we hold up Field? I'll hold up Field. I'd feel a lot more comfortable with this if they had already presented a non-basic land, but... Alright, Prismatic Vista. Another trophy. Yeah, this is getting worse and worse for us. Not hitting our land drops, not hitting anything else proactive. Now we're kind of priced into passing again. One more turn at least, but I'm not happy. Maybe maybe I should have just jammed the Liliana, but then in turn maybe they get to cycle the Remand and find their Blood Moon. Who knows? Dark Confidant. Okay. Let's walk into the Remand and see what happens. We definitely don't want to walk into the Cryptic next turn. You got us. Yeah, not drawing lands has been brutal. Like, drawing the Clunk here. You know, these cards are all good, but if they just find their I win card, then the game's just over. Okay, Thing in the Ice with potential Remand backup. And we draw Hex Drinker, which is very awkward. With our messed up mana base, so let's try this Liliana again. They know about her. If they have another Remand, that's going to be a tilt. Mana Leak. Oh, man. Yep. Okay. Opponent's got 5 cards in hand. And, oh, the Blood Moon. Oh, the Blood Moon. Okay, we're just dead. They have the inevitability of Thing. It's the last game, so I'll play it out, and we draw land right on cue, right after. It doesn't matter anymore. Okay. This card, guys. This card! I don't think we're supposed to mulligan a 2-discard hand with a Planeswalker just because it's vulnerable to the moon, right? These overgrown tombs are so tilting right now. So tilting, coming at the wrong time. I will say, though, that I guess I should have just simply cast into the known Remand there. Don't get me wrong, there are ways where we get rewarded for not sequencing around it. Like, if they hadn't curved out and we had instead. Like, if they weren't hitting their land drops naturally and we were, and they didn't draw such good cards, then it would have been better not to let them cycle their Remand then and there. But yeah, maybe that was still the less likely play. I don't know. But this league started out great, and now we're just losing to some stuff here at the end. We're losing to Hogaak, we're losing to Blood Moon. 2 of my least favorite things in Modern. But it's alright, you know, we just kinda we had some really good curve outs early on, and now the deck is just kind of falling apart here at the end. And look at this. That's a really impressive showing from the opponent here. Do they have a gut shot to finish us off for style points? They do not. Okay, Liliana the Veil. Great. Yeah, Blood Moon, Blue Moon, not a very good deck in Modern overall, but it can certainly steal wins, and you just saw how it can. You know, if the opponent's progression is sufficiently clunky and sufficiently vulnerable to Blood Moon, the game is just kind of a non-game. So there you have it. But yeah, you know, if we had jammed the Liliana into the Remand, they did have a Mana Leak, though. So then they Mana Leak our Liliana. I think the game goes exactly the same. They just play the Blood Moon, and we have no basics, and they just deterministically kill us from there. So I don't believe that you're supposed to mulligan a really functional hand like that just in case they have the Moon. Moon is not even very good against us on average. And of course we had 2 discard spells to protect ourselves from it. We had every chance. We had more chances of top decking basic lands. By far more chances of top decking either basic lands or fetch lands than they did of top decking a Blood Moon. But there you have it. Blood Moon cheesing us out of the game. So this was not entirely unexpected. This, as I said at the very beginning, my friends, this was an awkward time to be playing Modern because we have the London Mulligan, but we don't have any bans yet. So if I wasn't committed to releasing regular content for the channel, you know, I did have the free time. I don't want to leave you guys hanging without a match this week, without 5 matches this week, rather. So, yeah, I figured I would be remiss of me not to. I've got the time, let's play. But if I wasn't doing the channel, this would have been a week that I took off, because I kind of knew that we were in for a lot of linear BS. But hey, you know what? This is still a pretty cool league. Still a pretty cool league, because we went 3-2, we beat a lot of linear decks, and we have a fine matchup against Blue Moon. Half the time they can't handle our core progression of discard into Goyf into Liliana. That's very, very good against them. We just mulliganed to a one-lander in the loss to Blood Moon Game 1, and then we just lost to a top-deck Blood Moon Game 2. That's literally all it was. The games are interesting if Blood Moon's not involved. If Blood Moon is involved, sometimes it's kind of a dead card for them if we have a lot of basics. But sometimes it just wins them the game. So there you have it. But we held our own against the linear decks of the format. We split 1-1 with Hogaak Vine. We took down Neoform, and we took down Tron. So pretty good display from the deck overall, despite my specific setup for this game, for this league rather, not being optimized for what we faced. I said right at the beginning I'd be playing Leylines if I had them. I don't, and we played Hogaak twice, so there you go. Leylines would have been great. We took away a Collector Roof, and we faced Tron. Still got there against Tron. We've taken away stuff like Grafdigger's Cage and Duress, and we faced Neoform. Still got there against Neoform, and we're on the Plague Engineer plan all out, and the Plague Man, unfortunately, was not desirable in really any of these matchups, except Hogaak, where he is good, but a secondary role player that requires us to be competing with our more hardcore disruption first. So, that was unfortunately, it was a fine league. We made the games interactive. Can you imagine if we were on a less interactive deck, how binary all 5 of those games would have been, with the possible exception of Blue Moon? But again, Blue Moon is just trying to, generate non-games with the Blood Moon, so a lot of the time their disruption is not good enough if Blood Moon is a blank there, and if Blood Moon's not a blank, it's usually what wins them the game, not the disruption. So hopefully this spread was not indicative of Modern going forward. Certainly we're going to see an uptick in linearity given the London Mulligan, but I really truly hope, my friends, I've never really hoped for this since I've had this channel, I really hope we get a ban. Really hope we get a ban, because otherwise we're just in for a whole lot more non-games than we would prefer. But as we've shown here, despite me not being the most comfortable against a couple of these matchups, and despite me arguably, a couple lines could have been taken differently, we still come away with 3-2, and we didn't have particularly lucky curve outs or particularly stunning progressions. We just kind of did our thing to varying degrees of success, and it was pretty decent overall. So we can still hang there. We're still cashing almost literally every single league on this channel. I did have a 2-3 off camera, so we failed to cash a single league out of 13 since Horizons has been out. But to be fair, I still haven't 5-0'd since Horizons has been out either. So we're getting steadily positive results. I'm gonna bring you my matchup breakdown here soon. I'll just make another brief video about that in a couple days, probably once I actually get it typed up. But for now, my friends, here was our league. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've, in the next days to come, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, post here if you want. Let me know if you're seeing just all linear decks like this or what. Hopefully it's the last gasp for linearity in the form of Hogaak Vine anyway, but we'll have to see. We wait with bated breath to see what they decide to do with the Ban and Restricted update coming up next week. So anyway, my friends, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about the build. I do think that Fort Plague Engineer is absolutely awesome in the deck. Again, he just didn't get to shine here. I do think 7 discard spells looking pretty suave at the moment. Beyond that, we still haven't had Hexdrinker really show up much. It was fine as a Savannah Lions winning a game against Hogaak, otherwise hasn't really been a difference maker yet. But again, I don't think we've really seen the right matchups for it. Possibly these should just be 2 spell bombs and we play another 2 in the side. We just play 4 spell bombs while the meta is how it is, and then we just have this other tracker main or something like that. So who knows, but in any case, thank you so much for watching. let me know what you think, let me know what you're experiencing, and thank you once again to all Patreon supporters, including our newest one, the Inquisitor, John Westoff. Thank you so much, my friends. I will talk to you soon. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful evening.